Welcome back to some retro box office 1992 fun. Don't give me shit, I've been a while. JFK's number 10. But weirdly, when I think JFK, I can only think of this.
I hate Keith Hernandez. Hate him.
I despise him. June 14th, 1987. Mets, Phillies. We're enjoying a beautiful afternoon in the right field stands when a crucial Hernandez error opens the door to a 5-run Phillies ninth, cost the Mets the game.
Newman was in front of me. Hernandez was coming toward us.
Second later, something happened that changed us in a very deep and profound way from that day forward.
He spit on us. And I screamed out, I'm it!
9 weeks on the chart now for Oliver Stone's version of JFK, and over 61 million at the box office. It would also have one hell of a success ride on the awards circuit, so it's finally leaving the top 10 after a pretty impressive run. That's JFK's this week's number 10, but I'll give the last word on it to Jerry.
According to your story, Hernandez passes you and starts walking up the ramp. Then you say you were struck on the right temple. The spit then proceeds to ricochet off the temple, striking Newman between the third and the fourth rib. The spit then came off the rib, made a right turn, hitting Newman in the right wrist, causing him to drop his baseball cap. The spit then splashed off the wrist, pauses in midair, mind you, makes a left turn, and lands on Newman's left thigh. That is one magic loogie.
Dropping like a stone and not leaving much of an impression on the box office is this really cheesy and silly critical flop, Shining Through, starring Michael Douglas and Melanie Griffin. So a pretty hot couple of leads, but really they're in the wrong sort of movie. And do you know what? I quite like Melanie Griffin, but when I think of her, I think of something else.
Just am not motivated.
How's this for motivation, huh?
Budget! We don't take no.
Does not deserve a director's cut. The first one was long enough. Emily's just a dirty word for censorship. Mented forever.
Just 60 million at the box office for this steamy thriller.
Spy, Mr. Leland.
And you've seen too many movies, Miss Voss.
Enough to know a spy when I see one.
But when I think of erotic wartime thrillers, I think of this.
Bezeichnet.
Liste, please.
Ludwig München.
Alice?
Steve Martin, still one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood at this time, and this family favourite comedy, a timely remake of the Spencer Tracy 50s original, is still packing them in. 9 weeks on the chart, 76 million in budget. The father of the bride still has life left in him yet.
Drive carefully. And don't forget to fasten your condom.
Dad!
Seatbelt, I meant seatbelt.
Walt Disney Pictures presents its all-new 30th full-length animated motion picture.
Is anyone here?
Mama, there's a girl in the castle.
A girl! The classic story of Beauty and the Beast.
A modern Disney classic indeed, Beauty and the Beast, defying odds. 14 weeks on the chart, over 1 million at the box office, and it actually jumps up a couple of places to this week's number 7, so I wouldn't bet against it being in the chart again next week. Let's have a bit of this timeless musical classic from Disney.
He was mean and he was coarse and unrefined, and now he's dear.
You look so...
and so unsure.
Stupid.
I wonder why I didn't see it there before.
It's a story filled with fun.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
adventure,
Sacre bleu! Invaders!
and dozens of wonderful new Disney characters.
Beauty and the Beast, this week's number 7, and you know what, Disney one way or the other is all over this chart, because technically Father of the Bride is owned by Disney now, but coming in at number 6, it's a re-release for Disney.
Creators who brought you The Adventure of Aladdin and the excitement of The Little Mermaid comes a tale of mystery, suspense, and a great big adventure in The Great Mouse Detective.
A Disney film which may be your favourite ever Disney film if you were to be a hipster, but it's worth remembering The Great Mouse Detective pays fond tribute to the classic fiction of Arthur Conan Doyle and the legendary detective which is Sherlock Holmes. But how to improve all that? Well, you add the voice of iconic horror legend Vincent Price and of course some mices and some classic Disney antics in a film which plays loving tribute, and it says something that it was released in 1986 originally, and it got Disney back on track after the disaster which was The Black Cauldron, and upon its reissue in 92 it scored 4 million in its opening week back in the box office. So the Great Mouse Detective, down from 2 to this week's number 5, is this mismatched forgotten thriller starring Uma Thurman, Richard Gere and Kim Basinger. Gere gets in between a mobster and his girlfriend and her sister. I'm guessing that's bad news. Its final analysis. After enjoying a 4-week stint at number 1, this psycho nanny yuppie thriller, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, is holding steady and doing very nicely for its young director, the late Curtis Hanson. So, for 6 weeks on the chart now and 61 million at the box office for the film, which made a star of Rebecca De Mornay. It's solid enough, and once again it's owned by Disney. They've got the rights. You can find it on Disney Plus in the UK in case you've not seen it, and you can make up your own mind. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, still in the top 5 at number 4 this week. Retaining the status quo at this week's number 3, down none, up none, and sticking where it is from last week's number 3 is this women's picture, which was a sort of an awards darling. So Kathy Bates, Jessica Tunde, a bunch of others in Fried Green Tomatoes, and Kathy Bates went on to have quite the career, but she's probably never been better than...
There was Rocket Man trying to get out, and here comes the cliff. And just before the car went off the cliff, he jumped free, and all the kids cheered. But I didn't cheer. I stood right up and started shouting, "This isn't what happened last week! Have you all got amnesia? They just cheated us! This isn't fair! He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodie car!"
Luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Yes, the late great 007 himself, Sean Connery, drops down 1 to this week's number 2. It is Medicine Man, as he continued in 92 to keep up his stiff upper end, and with dodgy accents ahoy and big bearded face and reading glasses, I guess 21 million from 2 weeks show that Connery in 92 still had some box office clout. Future Soprano star Lorraine Bracco is the support. John McTeer of Die Hard fame directs. But as the Smersh podcast reviews the film, they have some less than flattening things to say about Connery's dialect and also his attempts at still being an action star. They think he's a little on the washed up side. Take a listen to this.
They met and he was going, where's your mask? And what about your shots?
And where's your mask?
I don't have a mask. I just got here.
No one comes in here without a surgical mask.
See, if you met someone who talked like that, you'd be going, I'm sorry, what?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Or she'd be going, I'm sorry, what?
What's cancer?
It just looks like Go Ape, and it's like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. They're swinging from tree to tree, but it's all really proper stuff. It's all proper ropes,
harnesses,
and metal harnesses, and all of that.
Good one.
I tell you what was weird. There's no jokes about how old he is, even though there's setups. There's literally setups for jokes about how old he is. He says really early on, "Do I look like I have dementia?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, a bit. Like you could have. What? You look old. Is that what you're saying?
And all that means we've got a brand new number one.
Wayne's World, party time, excellent. All right. Woo! Welcome to Wayne's World. Here's your host, Wayne Campbell. Party!
That's right, it's the spin-off movie from the cult Saturday Night Live sketch featuring Mike Myers, Dana Carvey. It's the sketch and the movie which made them stars, made them household names straight from their parents' basement, and you really believe they were coming from there. It also proved the perfect send-up of early 90s MTV slacker culture as the two underdogs lived out their dreams, their fantasies, and along the way it proved a comedy which was really ahead of its time as it incorporated pop culture references, hideous product placement, cheesy rhymes and catchphrases, and just a little bit of nerd culture and romance, headbanging culture as well. Wayne's World is straight in at number one, and what a hit it's proven to be, because nearly 22 million in its opening weekend at the box office. I guess the only decision left for the audience is, do you prefer this or do you prefer Bill and Ted? Which nerd duo do you come to first? What is true is that Mike Myers never really looked back, at least for a good 10-15 years after this, but quite the debut for these two, well, I'd say half cool dudes anyway, but as I said, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, they're quite the hit, and Wayne's World is this week's brand new number one. And you know what, let's have some clips, because it really does have some fun moments. There's a sequel as well, of course. In this clip, playing brilliantly off Rob Lowe at his slimy, sleazy executive producer best.
Listen, we need to have a talk about Vanderhoff. The fact is, he's the sponsor. And you signed a contract guaranteeing him certain concessions, one of them being a spot on the show.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor. Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
I can't talk about it anymore. It's giving me a headache.
Here, take 2 of these.
As part of this insanely wicked package is rock legend Alice Cooper in one of the most iconic cameos ever, where he shows Paul McCartney and David Beckham just how you do it.
You guys. So, do you come to Milwaukee often?
Well, I'm a regular visitor here, but Milwaukee has certainly had its share of visitors. The French missionaries and explorers were coming here as early as the late 1600s to trade with the Native Americans.
In fact, isn't Milwaukee an Indian name?
Yes, Pete, it is. Actually, it's pronounced Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land.
I was not aware of that.
I think one of the most interesting aspects of Milwaukee is the fact that it's the only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors.
Does this guy know how to party or what?
Hang out with us.
Cool. Yeah, we'll stay and hang around with you.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
And Wayne has a fun romance with relic hunter herself, Tina Carrera.
good from any angle.
That's not what you said in Kathmandu.
I was delirious.
Let yourself go, Reiner.
I know you can't wait, but let's get the dagger first.
Fair, but also scary to say that then the slow burn romance with Wayne's character in Wayne's World is just a little bit more sophisticated than that coming together. Still, nothing beats having your own show. Ferrero plays Cassandra Wong, a cool, babylicious guitarist and singer in a rock band. Carrera having just as much fun sending herself up as everybody else, and it's a real credit to this film than the romance is as charming as it is. Of course, Wayne has some competition from Lowe's slimy executive. At this rate, Wayne's World will take some stopping. See you next week for some more excellent antics and for more retro box office.